Good evening, everyone. Welcome to California Today. I'm David Zhang. Here is a look at some of today's top stories. Southern California was hit again with a string of robberies. Local shoppers say the increase in thefts makes the area feel unsafe. Federal workers in San Francisco are being asked to work remote. Employees reportedly received memos citing unsafe conditions on the streets surrounding the federal building. Another Walgreens store closes its doors in the Bay Area. The chain cites theft and changes in people's buying habits. Smash and grab robberies have hit Southern California again. Burglaries are happening more frequently in Los Angeles County. NTD's Christina Corona has more from the latest two stores in Los Angeles.
On Sunday, a shopper recorded two suspects stealing from a Nike store in East LA on Whittier Boulevard. The video posted on the Citizen app shows the suspects running in with trash bags and taking off with about $1,000 worth of shoes and other items. No injuries were reported. We asked local residents if this makes them afraid to shop and what to be aware of.
In a way it does, because I have a kid, so I'm always looking out for her safety. Yeah, it's just sad that they're, going into our community in that way, being that it is a low-income community, and we're lucky to have a Nike store here.
You never know what the person's gonna have. A knife, a gun, they're not thinking straight. It doesn't matter, just be careful. But people are gonna come in and try to find easy places like this. Now, there's a lot of requirements with companies. They tell you, don't follow them. Don't talk to them, don't say anything, just leave them alone. It's not worth it. Because the thing is, that loss will be written off. It'll be a write-off for taxes, it'll be off for insurance, whatever it is. Nobody loses.
We reached out to the Nike store, but they declined to comment. The Los Angeles County Sheriff's Department said this particular store is targeted weekly. And on Saturday, video posted on the Citizen app captured 20 to 50 thieves swarming a Nordstrom at the Westfield Topanga shopping center in Canoga Park as they cleared out the store during a destructive robbery. The video shows thieves wearing all black violently grabbing whatever merchandise they can carry, with many thieves seen ripping off the security devices attached to designer purses and luggage items. Officials say $60,000 to $100,000 worth of merchandise was stolen. Police are still searching for the suspects involved. Following the viral video, rapper 50 Cent wrote on Instagram, "I told you LA was finished. They are gonna have to lock the doors, appointment only, SMH." This comes just weeks after he commented about the reinstatement of the zero bail policy in Los Angeles County, saying, "LA is finished." Christina Corona, NTD News, Los Angeles.
Federal employees in San Francisco reportedly received notice to work from home for the foreseeable future due to drug use and rising crime around their office building.
Nowadays, when you think about the city, you're less likely to think about the Golden Gate Bridge and the trolley cars and the wharf than you are to think about bashed-in windshields and open-air drug markets and waste-littered streets.
The issue was first reported by the San Francisco Chronicle. It involves an 18-story building that houses various federal agencies. A video posted on social media platform X shows dozens of individuals simultaneously using fentanyl just steps away from the federal workplace. The video was posted by a longtime San Francisco resident, Darren Mark Stalkup. He says he's seen those who are addicted to drugs give birth and die of overdose all in the same block. And we have an in-depth interview with him coming up soon. The guidance for federal employees to telecommute for safety reasons adds to the growing office space vacancies in the city. Congressman Kevin Kiley wrote on X, "In recent months, San Francisco's decline has reached a point of a total collapse." The state announced the deployment of the National Guard to the area, and the number of police officers doubled in June. Another Walgreens in the San Francisco area will be closing permanently later this month. This is the latest of many closures in the area over the recent years. The chain has cited the theft as a cause before, but recently other reasons have been cited, like changing buying habits. NTD's Jason Blair brings us more.
The San Francisco Bay Area has seen a number of Walgreens closures over the past few years. Most recently, a Walgreens in Berkeley, California, will be shutting its doors permanently on August 23rd after being in business for 30 years. This will leave 3 Walgreens stores in the city. They have noted shoplifting concerns in the past, like when 5 store closings were announced in San Francisco in 2021. However, earlier this year, a Walgreens executive backtracked on some of those concerns during an earnings call, saying, quote, "Maybe we cried too much." Many videos of brazen Walgreens shoplifting incidents in the area get circulated regularly on social media. One location in San Francisco started putting chains around their freezers to deter theft. A frequent customer at the location said that the store gets hit multiple times a day.
Any undercover cop could come here and spend an hour here and have an arrest.
Walgreens spokesperson Karen May told NTD in an email, quote, "We are focused on creating the right network of stores in the right locations to best meet the needs of the communities we serve. We have made the difficult decision to close this location. There are a number of factors that we take into consideration, including dynamics of the local market and changing buying habits of our customers." Berkeley also saw 2 other Walgreens closures, one in 2020 and one in 2021. Jason Blair, NTD News, California.
Federal workers based in downtown San Francisco are now being told to work remotely. This comes as many federal agencies have reportedly sent memos to employees citing unsafe conditions on the streets around the Nancy Pelosi federal building where they work. To get a better picture of the situation, I spoke with Darren Stalcup, founder of the World Peace Movement. So Darren, in your recent viral posts on X, you took a walk around the Nancy Pelosi federal building and counted the 49 people scattered around doing or selling drugs in broad daylight. How do things get so bad?
Personally, I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area. I've seen firsthand our community go from being the cultural capital of the world to the technological capital of the world to what seems like the fentanyl capital of the world. And the Nancy Pelosi building has been giving our neighborhood a lot of trouble. Pounds of fentanyl are distributed and used right there on the corner of 7th and Mission. And, I've personally seen countless people overdose, and the story remains the same. The song remains the same time and time again. People are overdosing on fentanyl, and it's a very pressing issue in San Francisco right now.
When did you see a noticeable decline?
This happened over a period of 10 to 20 years. 2015, there was so much hope and aspirations for San Francisco. The South of Market area was transforming faster than ever before. Somewhere between all this advancement in technology, there was a decline in humanity. And for many years, the community has been voting progressively for liberal ideas. And personally, I believe that, what's happening in our community is a direct result of electing corrupt Democrats who have placed profits above the families of our community. And progressive policy is making everything progressively worse. Harm reduction is causing more harm. And it appears, that our local government has failed our community. And so because the people inside the federal building aren't doing their job. So, it's very ironic, the whole thing, to see federal employees, federal workers asked to stay at home because the federal building is not safe enough.
So what are some of the most shocking things you have seen in the area?
So living in San Francisco over the years, I've personally seen, hundreds of people dying. I've seen plenty of bodies. Every morning I go out and count the bodies. A woman did give birth right there in front of the federal building on 7th and Mission Street. She was a fentanyl addict, and I guess one day, she 9 months pregnant, somebody laced her fentanyl with crack or something along those lines, and next thing you know, she's, crack-induced labor, and she's conceiving a child right there on the sidewalk, and the first thing the child ever touched in this world was the sidewalk. I think there are fourth world conditions within our first world country. And I think a lot of our inner cities, particularly on the coast, who are typically, Democrat voters, there's a lot of chaos and death happening in our communities across the country right now. I've been to Brazil. I've gone to Rio de Janeiro. I've been to the favelas there. I've seen the worst neighborhoods possible in Brazil firsthand, and I noticed a few things. First and foremost, women and children are safe most of the time. Second of all, there's nobody breaking into the cars. Third of all, elders aren't being attacked. There are, drugs and violence anywhere you go, no matter what country. Every tree has a few bad apples. But it seems a lot of the core downtown cities in our country are rotten to the core.
Do you think we've gone beyond the point of no return, or is there still hope for San Francisco?
I feel like, San Francisco, we're all in this boat together. And right now we are in a very severe storm. The waters are very choppy, and we may have to surrender the sails to the storm, or we might have to have some kind of mutiny. Families are heartbroken, they're shattered, they're divided, people are dying. It's absolutely horrible what's happening in our community, man.
Well, Darren Stalcup, thank you so much for joining me to talk about your insights. Another Bay Area district attorney could be facing a recall soon. The group that has been gathering signatures made it official by submitting the collected signatures. Critics of the DA say she is too soft on crime and has not been prosecuting violent criminals properly.
A group called Save Alameda for Everyone officially filed paperwork on Tuesday to recall Alameda County District Attorney Pamela Price. The Alameda County Registrar of Voters certified the signatures. According to the group's website, Price is failing us in her responsibility to enforce the law, prosecute criminals, and keep violent offenders off our streets. The group consists of residents, business owners, survivors, and family members of victims. Since Price took office last year, she has faced increasing criticism for her progressive criminal justice policies. Carl Chan, a prominent advocate in Oakland's Chinatown, has spoken out about Price's handling of two men accused of killing Jasper Wu, a toddler, during a freeway shooting on Interstate 880. A stray bullet killed him during a gunfight between rival gang members. Many other Alameda County residents who have been victims of crime or had loved ones killed have come forward saying Price is failing to prosecute cases properly. In Oakland, where crime is most rampant, residents have resorted to air horns to alert neighbors of intruders and added security bars to their doors and windows. Others are moving out of the city. NTD reached out to the DA's office for a comment, but did not hear back by airtime. Previously, Price compared the recall effort against her to the January 6, 2021 Capitol breach. Last year, a similar recall effort successfully removed former San Francisco District Attorney Chesa Boudin from office. He was also called out for his soft-on-crime policies.
We'll now take a short break, everyone, but here's what we have for you when we come right back. RFK Jr. sues Google and YouTube over censorship. Lawyers for Kennedy claim the censorship is because he is vying for the presidential seat. A fire erupted along the California and Oregon border, and evacuations are now in place. The Golden State is also sending support teams to help Oregon and Hawaii. A California bill would require electric vehicles be able to send back power to the energy grid. Would it be enough to stay off a blackout? That's what the state's largest utility company is hoping for. Those stories and more coming up on California Today. Welcome back to California Today, everybody. I'm your host, David Zhang. Censorship during the presidential campaign? Candidate RFK Jr.'s lawsuit against Google is expedited. The Democrats' lawyer claimed because Kennedy is challenging Biden for nomination, he is a high-profile victim. NTD's David Lamb reports.
YouTube is such a huge platform for people to share their messages and for candidates to share political campaigns. Now with that, Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is suing YouTube and Google, alleging censorship during his presidential campaign. RFK Jr., a Democratic candidate running for president in 2024, wants a temporary restraining order, barring Google from censoring his speech on YouTube during his campaign. Kennedy alleges that Google worked with the federal government to develop and enforce misinformation policies to censor the government's political opponents, including Kennedy, who is running against President Biden. A Google spokesperson told NTD in a statement that YouTube applies its community guidelines independently, transparently, and consistently, regardless of political viewpoint. These claims are meritless, and we look forward to refuting them. Kennedy's attorney said Google will not suffer any harm from being ordered not to censor Mr. Kennedy during his campaign, but society will suffer if the censorship continues. The candidate is known to speak about toxic chemicals, COVID origins, and safety concerns regarding COVID-19 shots. Google removes his videos claiming they contain medical misinformation. However, Kennedy's campaign says a lot of the material in the videos had nothing to do with public health issues. Google said Kennedy's YouTube content has over 1 million views and tens of thousands of subscribers. The judge ordered an emergency hearing for this case, initially set for San Jose, is now being reassigned to San Francisco on August 21st. In San Jose, California, David Lamb, NTD News.
Evacuation orders are in place after a fire burns near the California-Oregon border due to a thunderstorm. During this time, the state is also sending out wildfire response teams to Oregon and Hawaii.
The head fire in Siskiyou County is one of at least 19 fires burning in the Klamath National Forest. Authorities say gusty winds from a thunderstorm sent a lightning-sparked wildfire racing through national forest lands. The fire is burning at around 3,000 to 4,000 acres. Firefighters were working to protect homes near the confluence of the Scott and Klamath Rivers, a very lightly populated area about 50 miles northwest of Mount Shasta. There weren't any immediate reports of injuries or homes burned Tuesday night. However, the Siskiyou County Sheriff's Office issued evacuation orders for several areas, including one south of Hamburg, a riverside community of about 100 people. Additional areas were warned to be ready to evacuate. State Route 96 was also closed. The head fire was burning near the site of the McKinney fire, which began on July 29th of last year. That fire started when a thunderstorm created winds up to 50 miles per hour. It reduced much of Klamath River, a scenic community of about 200 people, to ash and killed 4 people. And on Tuesday, Governor Gavin Newsom announced California is sending wildfire response and recovery teams to Hawaii and Oregon. The state has deployed over 200 specialized personnel, 25 vehicles, and more resources to help our neighbors.
I think the Maui Fire Department did the best job that they could, and against all odds. The other islands would have to ferry both fire trucks over to the island. And remember, all the Hawaiian islands were under red flag warnings when this was happening, and they were experiencing their own fires. So you have to keep some resources on your island to make sure your island is safe, but then also be able to provide assistance to the other islands when needed.
The death toll from the Maui fires has risen to 106. Survivors face power cutoffs and unreliable cell service as teams work to find the dead and identify them.
A California bill would require electric vehicles to be capable of sending back energy to the grid. That's the Senate Bill 233. It was introduced by Democratic Senator Nancy Skinner. Here's NTD's Jack Bradley with more details.
A bill is making its way through the legislature in California, and it would require all new electric vehicles sold in the state after 2030 to be bi-directional. And this means that they can operate as energy generators and send power back to the grid. This bill has already passed through the Senate and is currently moving through the Assembly. Now Pacific Gas and Electric, which is California's largest utility, has even shown support for utilizing this bi-directional charging in emergencies, like heatwave-induced blackouts. So how would this new bill potentially impact California's electricity supply? To unpack this, I spoke with Ronald Stein, an energy consultant and author of Clean Energy Exploitations.
Rather than focusing on what they do best, generate electricity, PG&E is considering the unconventional idea of bidirectional charging with EVs to help stabilize the grid. Now, California has the most EVs in the entire country. And at present, we cannot generate enough electricity here already because California imports more electricity than any other state in the country, now more than 30% from adjoining states. Now, Jack, you're a logical person, so I'm going to ask you a question. If you would bet on a lame horse, let me explain. Given that 40% of all the EVs in the entire country here in California, the most temperate climate in the country, it's never too hot, never too cold. As EV batteries, performance is degraded in hot and cold weather. So that leaves the other 60% of the EVs to be divided among the other 49 states today. And that tells us that each state has like 1% of the EVs in the current country. Now, as the future is fast approaching, virtually all the automobile manufacturers have been mandated through government mandates to reduce the emissions of their fleet of vehicles, trying to get down to zero emissions. And they're all going all in to only manufacture EVs, no internal combustion engine cars. And these endless government subsidies to encourage EV sales seems unable to sway the logical thinking and the numerous concerns of the average citizen, to buy into the EVs. Those unsold electric vehicles that are starting to pile up on lots, and they're signaling a death spiral for the auto industry.
California passed a law last year that would ban the sale of new gas-powered vehicles by 2035. That's one of many so-called zero-emission vehicle regulations across the country. But one issue is affordability.
When you take a look at all the cars sold in America, 75% of them are used. People can't afford new cars. But right now, there is no used car market for EVs. To replace the Tesla battery, that's a $20,000 ticket. That's if you have a small battery. If you have a SUV, it's going to be a bigger battery. So it's economically, it's going to be a real challenge for Americans. The demographics of EV owners is predominantly middle-aged white men owning more than $100,000 a year. And Social Security shows the national average wage index of slightly over 60,000. Big difference. And then U.S. News recently reported that more than 60% of adults are living paycheck to paycheck, and more than 40% of Americans with annual incomes over $100,000 are also living paycheck to paycheck.
As the future of America appears to rely more heavily on electric vehicles, the debate over them continues.
All right, everyone, that's all we've got for you tonight. We would like you to join us again on California Today every weekday at 8 p.m. Make sure to check out our broadcasts at ntd.com/California-today. You will find all of our latest clips there, ready to share with friends and family. Send us a message on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Gunjing World, or through our email, california.today@ntd.com. If you'd like to share a news tip or let us know how we're doing, we'd love to hear from you. I'm David Zhang. Have a wonderful evening.